Shinsuke Nakamura, a superstar lacking a proper run in the main event scene. Sure, his NXT run was good, but since then, his main roster run has been lackadaisical. In 2018, he does get the rub of winning the Royal Rumble, but it's squandered. They follow that up, giving him a WrestleMania moment of a low blow, not a WrestleMania moment of him winning the title, not a Mania moment of him and AJ going out there and putting on a 5-star Dave Meltzer match, which they were capable of since they did it in New Japan. Nope, instead they give him a WrestleMania moment of a low blow also because he's being a sore loser. He's like, fuck, I lost.
Yeah.
Low blow. That's his WrestleMania moment. Since then, he's just been stuck in the mid card doing nothing of interest. The good news for him, though, is Finn Balor. Finn Balor was in a similar boat. He had a main event run that was squandered after an injury because of Vince being upset that Finn got hurt randomly. It wasn't like it was his fault. He pushed him to the mid card. Boring ass feuds. But Finn was able to turn it around. So there is hope for Nakamura, especially with idea of stables and Triple H booking now.
Yeah.
He has hope. So I'm going to let my tag partner tag in here because he's always telling me about Nakamura, how he wants him to be over, coming up with all these ways that WWE could use Nakamura. But before I tag him in, make sure you subscribe to the page, like the video, because one day Nakamura is going to see this video, and if it's a low number of likes, he's going to be like, what the fuck, these Americans don't want me at the top of the card? How would you book Nakamura so he can actually shine?
So, like you said, that's a lot of stables, especially in wrestling right now, are getting over the Bloodline, Judgment Day, the Elite, Jericho Appreciation Society. A lot of stables getting over. So that was kind of my idea, was to build up a stable, build it around Nakamura, make him the leader, but build it around him. So the kind of the concept I came up with was a reverse Bullet Club, where the Bullet Club, was kind of foreigners in Japan taking over Japan, running Japan. So do a reverse Bullet Club where you have strictly Japanese stable come into WWE. And when I was looking up ideas for like the name, I googled famous Yakuza clans or gang names, and then I was like, I probably shouldn't use that for these guys because eventually they got to go back to Japan. So looking up samurai clans, they would be like the name of the main guy, and then they would just say clan. So I figured you could call it the Nakamura clan. And then especially also with the LWO right now, and WWE has a history of pushing Latino stars, Rey Mysterio and Eddie Guerrero. So I think it's time that they kind of try to push some Japanese stars. So the original incarnation of my group, obviously Nakamura is your leader, and I think that, like I said, a stable could help him get to that main event scene and maybe stay in it for a little bit. And then follow that up, a guy, when I used to watch a lot of New Japan wrestling, I really liked and thought was going to be the IWGP champion, was Hiroki Goto. Like I said, I thought that guy was going to be a big star for them. He's a little older. He's probably about Nakamura's age, but I think if you bring him into WWE, bring him into America, maybe that could be a resurgence for him. And originally, for the kind of young lion type guy, I was thinking Kota Ibushi, but we all know he ended up going with AEW. So for that spot, I would go with Sonata. Sonata is the current IWGP World Champion, and he's had a history in Impact Wrestling. He did a few things for them, so he's kind of been in front of American crowds before. But when it's time for Nakamura to maybe step aside or go away, I think Sonata could be a good replacement as the leader. And then a guy that's been with WWE for a long time, Akira Tozawa. I really like him a lot. They haven't really been doing anything with him. but he's kind of a cruiserweight type. And if you mix his speed and agility with like the power and strong style of Hiroki Goto, I think that could be your tag team of the group. And then Rhea Ripley's been really good for Judgment Day, and I think that female representative could work here, and I think Asuka is the prime choice. And I think like the interactions between her and Nakamura and some of the other guys would be kind of cool and funny with her kind of firing them up. But every group I think needs a good manager, so I kind of went old school with this where they could bring back an Attitude Era star, and that's Taka Michinoku. I think I liked his time in WWE in the past when he was the light heavyweight champion and then a part of Kaientai. So I think if you brought him in as the manager slash translator for the group, I think that's a really cool dynamic for a stable and a group in WWE.
What I like about this idea is since Shinsuke Nakamura has been booked so bad now, and like he's kind of lost his mystique with the WWE crowd, I feel like a stable for him might not get off the ground right away.
Right.
But then when you add Asuka, who she's over. Like, so at the beginning of the group, she can carry it where the crowd's like, oh, I want to pay attention to this because Asuka's legit. And then eventually Asuka, in essence, gets Nakamura to get to the star level that WWE main roster-wise has not showed him.
Yeah, I think Asuka's a good example of being able to get over and get in the main event scene without having the English repertoire. I don't know how to say that word. So I think that's kind of what's held Nakamura back when Vince McMahon was in charge. Was he's very charismatic, but his English may not be too strong.
Oh, yeah, we've seen him live. People freak out about that song. Like,
yeah, that song's over. And also, shout out to some guy named Little Uzi Vert.
Oh, yeah.
That Nakamura song's cool. So I'm hoping one day we get to see that guy play out Nakamura to a show. So that would be awesome. But it's kind of similar to the Judgment Day. Like the Judgment Day didn't seem like it was gonna be a big deal. Like you started with Edge and it seemed kind of weird and I didn't think it worked. And then it seemed like originally Finn, they were just like, we'll just throw Finn in there and give him something to do. And now you look at it and he's
probably going to be a champion too.
Yeah. I mean, it's a huge deal. Also, what I like about an all Japanese stable is I noticed that when Io Sky and Asuka cut promos in Japanese to each other, it becomes kind of a big viral thing online where people will then put up the translation and they get away with saying a little more than they could say in English, if that makes sense. Like they can say things
a little bit more PG-13.
Yeah. So I think that could work here where Nakamura could cut Japanese promos and maybe bring back that old like Kaientai bit where it would be, don't do the dubbing like the racist dubbing, but maybe Nakamura goes on a long rant and says something and then Taka translate and he says like, oh, he said one or two things like, and clearly he didn't because he's been talking for a while.
I agree with Vince maybe holding Nakamura back because he was lacking English. I also think maybe he would have still been fine lacking English if it wasn't for that low blow after losing the AJ at Mania. I feel like that was like, to me, that was like, oh, Vince really doesn't give a fuck about this guy. Like,
I think that was Vince's idea of like giving him personality, like making him a cowardly heel, which is obviously the wrong call. He's the king of strong style.
Yeah, it doesn't work for him. He's badass. Like,
yeah. So the only other thing I could think of to save Nakamura was Paul Heyman.
Oh,
if he was with Paul Heyman, but that clearly is not going to happen. But I think that this could be the right step for them.
I like this idea too, because of how inclusive it is to Japanese fan base, where it's like you said, they never really pushed someone.
You have the LWO, and if you look at was that Backlash was in Puerto Rico, look at the reactions Bad Bunny got, and Carlito when Carlito came out, and Savio Vega when Savio Vega came out. Like, I know those are hometown guys, so it's kind of skewed a little bit, but it was still a huge reaction, and they were over. there's no reason, like with them going into Puerto Rico and into the UK for pay-per-views, give us a Japanese pay-per-view.
And
And if
also,
you have Nakamura on top,
it also is a way to, poke the bear a little bit at AEW, since AEW isn't like WWE likes to push that they are global.
yeah,
You create this group and you start getting over in Japan like
Yeah.
that.
yeah,
You're showing that you're global.
yeah, absolutely.
In the comments, let us know how you feel about this idea and how you would book Shinsuke Nakamura so he could actually get to that main event level in WWE.
Also, if when he does make it to the main event, you can go back and look at this video and be like, that guy called it.